What up? Welcome, Golden Era. I am stoked because this is the best part of the NBA season, bar none. We are 9 to 10 games left for most teams in the NBA. March 24th is our date. The Eastern Conference, which we're going to get to in a second, is as tight as it's ever been. The Western Conference has a ton going on. Let's dive in our standings in the Eastern Conference, where we'll start. The Brooklyn Nets holding on to a 1-point edge over Orlando, but you look at the top 6 seeds right now, it is as close as it can possibly get. One win between 5 to 6, one win between 4 to 5, one win between 3 to 4. This is going to be an incredible finish in the Eastern Conference. In the Western Conference, it's got some drama, but it's certainly not at the top. Golden State is going to be our number 1 seed out there. Meanwhile, Utah and Sacramento both are diving for that number 2 seed. Obviously, who that could match up with would be either a play-in team or what it appears to be likely the Wolves or potentially the Lakers. But a good finish that we're going to have in store. Really excited for it. Our league leaders as we approach the end of March, Jalen Justice remains on top, 34 points per game there. Rebounding continues to be Rashawn Matthews. He's going to go ticker to ticker, man. He is going to go from the beginning of the season through to the end of it as our league leader. In rebounding, assists, Javon Stokes holding off Kareem Robinson. I would expect him to be able to keep that lead there for the assist leader. Our steals, it's still Savion White. He's eclipsed the mark at this point of games played. We'll see if he plays again after that broken leg, but he still leads the league there. If we see any change, it would be because of him not having the appropriate games threshold. A ton of guys, 1.7, you see that, and then a handful at 1.6. And, of course, our block leaders, though that lead continues to shrink, folks. Cameron Sullivan, 2.6. He was, at one point, up above 3 per game. That is not maintained. Xavier Carter, now that he's eclipsed the mark, is creeping up on that one. So where are we at? Where are we at in the league right now? And the Eastern Conference, as we talked about just a second ago, is incredible. Boston has been stumbling down. They've lost 5 in a row, so their pursuit of the number 1 seed with a fully healthy group, now that Amari Swift is healthy, that seems to be fading by the wayside. The Bucks sputtered for a little bit. They looked like they were on the verge of falling out of the race for the top spot. They've settled in with 4 straight wins. Miami, and that's where I kind of want to spend a little bit more time. Miami is 13-2 since February 9th. They've lost just twice. That's the return date of Ja Morant on February 21st. They have been absolutely incredible in every single game. In this 15-game stretch, their 2 losses have been by 5 points to Chicago and 5 points to Brooklyn, with a ton of notable wins. A ton of, maybe that's exaggeratory, but 2 over Utah, 1 over Orlando, 1 over Boston. Otherwise, they've beaten teams that are mediocre to bad: San Antonio, Detroit, Memphis, Charlotte, Cleveland, and Atlanta twice. But look, this has been a different group. Their offense is dynamic. Desmond Cooper is averaging 6.5 assists per game. Ja Morant, 8.8 per game assists in the month of March for both of them. Damian Pack, their rookie piece, 13, 5, and 6.5 in the month of March. They have been elite all season on defense, which continues to be, to me, an absolutely inconceivable idea, if you will, at the start of the season, where your best 2 guys are Ja Morant and Desmond Cooper. How are we really looking at Ja Morant and Desmond Cooper and saying that's our backcourt and this is going to be the number 1 offense or number 1 defense in the NBA? Because they've got the anchor of Cameron Sullivan at the back end. They are absolutely phenomenal. Over the last month, their defense has been number 2, second only to somehow the New York Knicks, who have a defense of 95.9, yet they can't score to save their life. They have the best offensive differential, which is 17.7. Their offense is 120.2 offensive rating. That's 4th in the NBA. Ja Morant and Desmond Cooper are powering this offense. This is a legitimate team. You look at them in the standings as we pull that back up for you. There's a real chance this team could be a top 3 seed. I mean, there's just so much movement that we could see in the Eastern Conference with Miami being able to jump any of those teams, because you look at this group, there's opportunities in the Eastern Conference that you can talk yourself into the top 8 seeds, and there's also opportunities where you can talk yourself out of them, right? Brooklyn. Well, they've got an incredible offense, but their defense has been kind of atrocious. Their offense is 7th ranked over the last month. Their defense is 30th ranked. Their offense on the season has been phenomenal. It is a top 10 group, but their defense has not been. It's 17th ranked in the entire NBA. You can believe in this offense with Bryton Reed, Louis Morgan, Rashawn Matthews, but you talk yourself out with the defense. The Orlando Magic at number 2. Talk yourselves in with Trey Hunter, with Jalen Green, with Corey Flynn coming off the bench. He's probably going to be our 6th Man of the Year winner. Then you can talk yourself out of it by saying that's all they've got. Jason Tatum has been really bad for this group. They haven't figured out what's plagued Elton Dawkins at the 5. He hasn't been as consistent. And within all that, Orlando has kind of not been all that great with their 2 stars who have kind of faded as offensive fulcrums, as Corey Flynn has been phenomenal. He's averaging 58% from the floor in March. That's up from 56% in January, which was up from 55% shooting in February. He has been an incredible piece on offense for this group, Corey Flynn has. But you talk yourself out when you say it's an old team. They got exposed last season by the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals, and you have to worry about them in the long run. Potentially. I'm just saying. Number 3, I don't know what to do with Chicago Bulls because Javon Stokes in his 3rd season is maybe an MVP candidate in many rings if you don't have the big seasons that guys like Amari Swift, Jacoby Cleaves, and Tyrese Alston have had. But he's good enough to lead a team. This is Dwayne Wade in 2006 type of stuff. 3rd year, steps in. A lot of people kind of wondering if he makes the leap. Is he ready for this type of stuff? They got in as the 8 seed last season, went to 5 games against top-ranked Toronto. That's where you take your knock. This is a very young basketball team. They just had the number 1 overall pick, Kevonte Kennard, at the 5. He's coming off the bench behind Kyrie Law. Dakota Motley's in his 4th season. Javon Stokes, we said, is in his 3rd. But at the same time, what if Javon Stokes is just a different breed? What if Javon Stokes is breaking down the door of saying, I'm the best guard in the entire NBA, and we just don't know it yet? Move to 4, it's the Milwaukee Bucks. It's Dwayne Qualls. It's finally got a great number 2 in Luka Doncic. You've got great defenders on the wing in Marcus Young Jr., good defense in the back end from Adrian Harper in the back. You got Mario Zoric at the 5. This is a really great basketball team. It's deep. But outside of those top 2 guys, what are you getting? Their 3rd best scorer is Jules Petrus. He's averaging about 12, 15 points a game. Marcus Young Jr. has not been a good 3-point shooter, just like he wasn't in Phoenix. So there's question marks about the depth of Milwaukee. Move to Miami. We just talked about him. Can we stay healthy? That's probably the only knock on this team, but if you look at their stats, you look at what they've done with John Morant, Desmond Cooper healthy, and Cameron Sullivan in the back end. I mean, this is the number 1 offense, a number 1 defense. This team's legitimate. Number 6, Amari Swift and Xavier Carter and the Boston Celtics. Am I not going to believe in Amari Swift, who I still believe to be the best basketball player behind only Jalen Justice in the NBA? I'm supposed to just discredit all that because they're on a 5-game losing streak right now? There's obviously flaws with this team, but if I'm looking to talk myself into it, I'm talking myself into Amari Swift and Xavier Carter. Xavier Carter might be our best center in the NBA right now. We go to Indiana at 7. This list goes on and on. Indiana, they were at one point the number 1 team in the NBA record-wise, and then they got destroyed by injuries to CJ McCoy, who's still out, to Ibrahim Mobley, to Corey Wilson at the 5. This is a great basketball team when fully healthy. I've said it before. I think this is the deepest team in the NBA when they're healthy. And they could be in the play-in after having been the number 1 seed earlier in the season. And then at number 8, Jalen Justice, 39-32 Toronto Raptors. They have been great with this team now fully healthy. They've been playing a heck of a lot better. They've won 3 straight games. They've won 6 of their last 7. They're 8-3 since the All-Star break. Over the last month, they have the number 3 offense in the league, the number 6 point differential. Jalen Justice, he's leading the league in scoring. This team is great now that Terrence Clark is looking better, averaging 20 points per game. But they're probably going to be in the play-in. And their defense, number 22 in the NBA, is not that great. They brought in Zeke Naji to be a rebounding center, which was a much-needed piece behind Keon Wallace at the 5, but Shane Ruffin does not look anywhere close to the two-time All-Star version of himself that he was in Golden State. And maybe it's just a fact of you look at the full body of work that this team has given us. Granted, it's been great lately, but it's still a 39-32 team. It's going to be an incredible finish. I can tell you that right now, and I am excited for it, which is why, coming up, we're not going to have any broadcasted games. For one, the Golden State Warriors, I think we kind of know where they're going to figure out. They're going to be the number 1 seed. They're going to have the number 1 record in the NBA. We do not need to show you them playing any of their 10 remaining games, partially because they're probably not going to play any players of significant value since there's so little to play. So instead, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to take you day by day through every single game in the NBA season. You're going to see basically how I go about going through each calendar day. We're going to look at the scores, what it means. It might not be good content. I don't know. I have no idea what to expect, but it is my favorite part of the day, or favorite part of the season because of that. Because it's just so chaotic, because one upset, because one loss, one piece of information is given to us, and then the next day it's irrelevant because something else happens. So we're going to see what it's like. I love doing it. I love watching how everything plays out. So we're going to go on that journey together. So no broadcast game. Deep dive might be a little bit longer post. I apologize if you don't like that, but we're going to figure it out. We will talk to you on that side as we approach the NBA's playoffs.